Somebody hears you, you know that. Somebody hears you, you know that inside. Someone is learning the colors of all your say just the straight thing.
Sorry. Do you have or do you know anyone with a mental illness?
Yeah.
Since the answer is yes, which illness is it? Could you describe it?
Yeah, anxiety, like pretty major anxiety, OCD, depression. That's probably, I think that's...
Yeah.
Yes, professionally and personally.
And which illness is it?
Depression and anxiety. Professionally, I know people who have had bipolar, schizophrenia, borderline personalities.
I don't have it myself, but I know a lot of my friends, a lot of my close friends do.
Can you name any of the illnesses they have?
Depression, anorexia, bulimia.
Yeah, like me and all my friends and all my family basically have mental illness. Like I have depression, anxiety, OCD, and recovered from an eating disorder. So
not at the moment.
Yes, I personally have mental illnesses, and I know a lot of my friends do as well. I personally suffer from depression and anxiety, along with a couple of other disorders, and I know friends who have depression, anxiety, obsessive-compulsive disorder, and I have a friend who has recovered from an eating disorder.
yeah, I personally have mental illnesses, and so do like a lot of my friends and stuff.
Can you name any of them, the mental illnesses?
I personally have depression and anxiety, and I have friends who have like struggled with eating disorders, depression, anxiety, like OCD, and like all that fun stuff.
I know many people with mental illness, and I myself do not really have one. I've always leaned a little bit towards OCD.
Have you ever witnessed or experienced any form of mental health negativity or discrimination, and if so, can you describe what happened?
Like myself?
Yourself, or if you've ever seen it happen to someone else?
I don't think I have.
Yes.
Can you describe it?
In my work setting, I've seen it, patients being discriminated against because of their mental illness.
Yeah, like I can't name you a specific time, but like because there's too many, which is kind of really sad. But just like the general comments, like just like it's all in your head, stuff like that, stuff like stupid stuff like that.
Yeah, for an example, like my mom is trying to get her childcare license right now. She runs a daycare, and the people who run a EEC won't give her her license until they can talk to my sister's therapist and my therapist about it, for whatever reason. And it's like an invasion of privacy. They don't need to talk to like our personal doctors about it, and it's like they are withholding the license, saying that they have a right to do that, and it's like discriminating against my mom for having like kids with mental illnesses because it doesn't affect the daycare at all. But like they're like, we have to talk to their doctors and make sure like it won't interfere with anything you're running here. It's like that has nothing to do with it. And if we had gone to the hospital for like a broken leg rather than for depression, it wouldn't be a big deal.
I used to have a friend who would shame me for the mental illnesses I have, told me it's not real, that I need to work on it, and I've had people get very angry with me when I'm anxious about things that are outside of my control.
I know a lot of people who have like 504 plans, or like who get like panic attacks during school and like ask to leave class, and teachers are often like really reluctant to let them leave, or like flat out refuse to let them leave, even if it's like in like a legally binding contract, like a 504 plan, that like they have to let them leave.
Explain your level of education that you feel you've received about mental health in school.
I think that it's enough to like be able to have empathy for the people that have it, and then not know their perspective and everything. But I think that there's a lot more that I could learn.
In school, not a lot. On my own, quite an amount. Like I think I know a good amount about it, but I wouldn't say school does a great job of preparing you. Even if you do, it's like in health class and no one pays attention or takes it seriously.
So in school, we did like some stuff in 8th grade about like depression and schizophrenia. That's all I remember. And it did not prepare me for when depression would hit me later that year, like a freight train. So I've gotten like a lot of education from different hospital programs I've been in, so like now I know how a panic attack works or how like depression affects someone's brain, and I never learned that from school or anything. Like the school doesn't educate people enough on mental illnesses.
In school, I don't think that we've received like that much information. Like they kind of like did like a brief overview in like middle school, but like we never really go into depth. So like I've had to do a lot of research like on my own in order to like understand it.
The education I've received has mostly come from my own personal research and from doctors. I don't feel that the school does enough to educate us about mental illnesses. We learn all about every kind of physical illness or ailment you can get, but really the only thing we cover about mental health is once in like 8th grade when we talk about depression, and 1 week during 9th and 10th grade health class, and that's nowhere near enough to let people understand what it actually is.
Well, it's a pretty general education, I'd say. You get the basics. I mean, you've really got to delve into it, like with psychology. Health classes do an okay job, but if you really want to get into mental illnesses, it's probably just psychology that you really get a general understanding of what they are and how you treat them.
Do you think that there's a stigma attached to people with mental illness within the school, this town, and society in general?
Definitely. I think that like once you kind of find out that somebody has a mental illness, you definitely, like, a lot of people treat them differently, and then they kind of get like cast away or something, and there's definitely a stigma surrounding that.
Yes, I do. I think that people don't have a good understanding of what mental illness is. I think for some people, because they can't see it, they don't feel it exists. I've heard people be told that just get over it, think happy thoughts, tomorrow's a better day. So I think that, yes, there's a stigma attached.
I would say yes, because like you hear, because no one's educated about what it actually is. Everyone's educated about the stereotypes, and so therefore you apply that, and you like if you look for things like some stereotypes like, oh, they have dyed hair, they're depressed, which is stupid, and that's one of them.
I think in the school and town, it's definitely more taboo than like outside, because like this town, it's like kind of like exclusive, and everyone should kind of like act the same, especially like kind of like the middle school times, like people want to all like blend in with each other and be the same before they start like wanting to stand out in high school, so it can be really difficult for kids that are younger dealing with mental illnesses and like feeling separate from the group and feeling like people don't want to talk to them, or they're ostracized, like they sit alone at lunch because no one wants to talk to them because they had a panic attack in class earlier that morning. And it's like difficult for kids in high school too, and for like young adults and adults in the town, because like again, it's like really taboo and people don't want to talk about mental illnesses even though they're really prevalent in society today.
I think that definitely there's like a stigma around it, like the people with mental illness are like lazy or like not trying hard enough, or like are trying to like get away with not doing work, or like crazy or whatever. And especially in this town, like it's kind of like there's like a don't talk about it, like it's kind of like this taboo thing where like you're not really supposed to like talk about it.
It's everywhere. It's in the school, it's in this town, it's in society in general. People don't understand what mental illnesses are. They think it's something you can control, and you can't. You're born with it, or something happens in your brain that makes you have it. It can be a chemical imbalance, it can be anything, but it's something that you don't cause yourself, and people don't understand that. People just think it's either a sign of weakness, or they view people with mental illnesses as dangerous or crazy, and that it damages people.
Well, it's the same reason there's a stigma with anything, really. There's always a clear definition of us and them, which actually, if you ask me, is rather silly, because 1 in probably 4 people have a mental illness, and it doesn't really make sense to make them an outsider when who knows that maybe being healthy is, or what we call healthy, is what really what's wrong.
Yeah.
Understood. Here you're known. The